All right, let's talk about one of the biggest hurdles for anyone looking to join the military, the math sections of the ASVAB. We're going to break down a really focused, streamlined way to tackle this thing, build your confidence, and crush that test. Let's jump right in. So if you're looking at all the ASVAB prep material and feeling kind of stressed, especially about the math, you are in good company. Honestly, for so many people, it's the #1 source of anxiety in the whole enlistment process. And that feeling, it shows up in a bunch of different ways, right? Maybe it's just that classic math anxiety where your mind just kind of goes blank. Or maybe you just feel rusty, even a little embarrassed that you can't remember how to deal with fractions. You might be staring at some giant study guide wondering, where do I even start? All while you're picturing that clock ticking down. All of those feelings? Totally normal. But here's the good news. There is a clear path forward. So today, we're going to define the problem. Then we'll get into why these scores are so incredibly important. After that, we'll lay out a streamlined way to study smarter, not just harder. Then we'll walk through a super practical checklist to build your confidence. And finally, we'll help you figure out your very next step. So let's get this straight. The ASVB math problem isn't about how smart you are. It's usually just a mix of being out of practice and not having a solid game plan. That feeling of being totally stuck, it's real, for sure, but it is absolutely not permanent. Now, if you want to build a smart study plan, you've got to know what you're aiming for, and that conversation starts with something called the AFQT score. The AFQT, that's the Armed Forces Qualification Test. This is the big one. It's the score that basically determines if you're eligible to enlist, period. Think of it like the key that unlocks the very first door to your military career. Now, check this out. This is why we're talking about this. Your AFQT score comes from 4 parts of the ASVAB, 2 verbal sections and 2 math sections, arithmetic reasoning and mathematical knowledge. So let that sink in. Half, literally 50% of your score to qualify for the military is based completely on your math skills. This means doing well in math isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. And that brings us to the heart of our strategy today, the streamlined success approach. This is not about trying to relearn every single math concept you ever saw in high school. Nope, it's about being strategic and targeting your effort right where it's going to make the biggest difference. And this slide just lays it out perfectly. You've got 2 ways to go about this. The overwhelming way is what most people do. They get a massive book, start at page 1, and just grind. They waste tons of time on stuff they already know and get burned out fast. But the streamlined way, it flips that completely. You start with a practice test, not to get a score, but to diagnose your weak spots. Then you focus only on those areas. You start to see progress way faster, and that builds momentum and real confidence. Okay, so how do we actually do this? Well, here is a clear, actionable checklist that's going to help you turn all that anxiety into actual achievement. Step 1 is all about diagnosis. Find a practice test. The very first time you take it, get rid of all the pressure. No timer, no stress. The goal here is just to see what you actually know. As you go, show all your work on paper and be really honest with yourself. Make a little mark next to every single question you guess on and keep a running list of any formulas or rules you have to look up. This becomes your personalized study guide. Okay, pause here for a second because this is probably the most important part of the whole thing. As you're reviewing that first test, your goal is not to memorize that the answer to number 12 was B. Your goal is to understand the process of how to solve number 12 so you can solve any problem just like it on the real test. All right, step 2 is where the magic happens, practice and refinement. Go back to every mistake, but don't get frustrated. Get curious. Figure out why you went wrong. Was it a simple calculation error? Did you forget a formula? Also, seriously, spend some time mastering your multiplication tables. It is a huge time saver. Now, rework every single problem you missed and every problem you guessed on until it feels like muscle memory. Then you retake that same test, but this time you turn on the timer and you put the calculator away. And the final, crucial piece of the puzzle, you rinse and repeat. You find a new practice test and you do the whole process all over again. See, every test is a little different. One might have more geometry, another might have more algebra. By repeating this cycle with different tests, you cover all your bases and build rock-solid confidence. Okay, so we've covered the what, the why, and the how, but now comes the most important part. What's your next move? It's time to build your own personal plan. And before you start planning, just remember this. It can feel like a huge mountain to climb. I get it, but real, lasting confidence isn't built overnight. It's built one single problem at a time. So, to get started, just take a minute and ask yourself these questions. And be honest. What score are you aiming for? When's your test? Right now, on a scale of 1 to 10, how confident do you feel? Just based on your gut, what's one topic you know you need to look at? And what just feels like the hardest part for you? Answering these questions is going to give you a really powerful, focused starting point. So let's end on this note. Forget about the whole mounting for a second. Just focus on the very first step. What is the one small, manageable thing you can do today to get started on this? Maybe it's just Googling ASVB practice test, or maybe it's just spending 10 minutes on multiplication flashcards. Whatever it is, that one small action, that's how you start. That's how you win.